Jose, how are you, brother?
How's it going, Mr. Vita? How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Congratulations on everything going on with you. We're gonna start the show in a second, so have your stuff ready to go and be prepared to show off all your stuff.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me? All right? Is everything good?
All right.
All right, cool. Start recording here. All right, cool. All right. We have this is going to be broadcasting live, so it'll be going out
All
to
right.
YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live as well as here. So we should be getting a couple of good hits from for you. But like I said, man, congratulations! Thank you so much for
Cool.
taking some time to sit and chat again.
Yeah, man. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited about this. You always ask the right questions, and it's like
All
super
right,
cool.
cool. All right. We might as well get started because we're going to be simulcasting right away. So if I will count you down and we'll get
Let's
going. All
do
right,
it.
brother?
Yeah,
All right,
let's
let's
do
go
it.
in three, two. Turn my audio down. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Kung Fu Drive-In podcast live right here on Fireside, where we have a special guest today, martial arts action star. You've seen him in The Man from Kathmandu. Most recently, we caught up with him for Jugando con Fuego. He's got a bunch of cool stuff in the work. Fight choreographer, stunt coordinator, doing some great things. Jose Manuel. Jose, thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah, humbled, man. I really thank you a lot for inviting me. Very excited to have this chat with you.
It's great to have you. We've talked a few times already. I'm a fan of your work. I'm looking forward to all the things that you have going on. And one of these things we'll be talking about today, the Fist of the Condor.
Oh yeah.
Before we get into all that, though, introduce yourself to our audience. Give me a little bit about your background and explain to the audience how you got to where you are right now in your career.
Well, I just started like any other kid. I loved martial art movies. I loved action movies, and I just felt drawn to starting to create my own things, to create my own stuff, and eventually it just led me to where I'm at. I didn't really know in the beginning that I was gonna get to where I'm at right now, but I did it over and over, and I pretty much was obsessed with this type of genre, with this type of filmmaking. I wanted to decode how could you create a cool action sequence, a fight sequence. How do you even do that? We all watch movies, action movies, and we're all amazed by how they create this stuff. And I was like, hey, I want to give it a try. And I started way down in 2006. I started taking more seriously. It's been a couple of years now, and like many other filmmakers, from YouTube, you start transitioning, and you go back to YouTube, back to doing it professionally, and you just feel like you have to do it. At a point, I just felt that it was just part of who I was, and I just wanted to keep doing it. So I just kept doing it regardless of circumstances or regardless of what was happening. And long story short, I ended up doing a movie in Puerto Rico called Witness el Testigo, which is, it was a big milestone at the time. A martial art movie, independent. It had no precedent in the island. And then after that, a couple of years later, after doing some TV, doing some action in TV as well, and acting, I got a call from director Pema Dondu to do The Man from Kathmandu, who was a director that lives in LA, but had a connection to Nepal and India. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you want me to star in that movie? That's awesome. And I went over and I did that as well. And from then it became a series of people started appearing in my surroundings. Like, for example, Marco was around already. He was a well-established brand at the time.
Yep.
And I've just followed Marco since I was starting. So I was like, oh my God, I mean, this guy really inspires me. I wanna do action movies, and he's doing it, and he's doing it so well. I mean, the maybe I can give it a try. And after Kathmandu, I've talked to Marco like a couple of times here and there. But and we tried to get me as a stuntman, actually, to in one of his shows, and it didn't work at the time. The movie was canceled. But then after he saw my movie, The Man from Kathmandu, and he told me like, "Hey, Jose, I saw your movie, man. It's quite good." And I was like, "Oh, really? You like it?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I like it." And he was like, "I'm considering you. I want to work with you." And I was talking to him, every now and then. A very cool guy, very down to earth. Marco is, it's been a blessing to meet him. And when the opportunity to do the Fist of the Condor, that was during the pandemic, came around, he told me like, "Hey, Jose, I want you in for this character." And he told me, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Of course, man. You don't have to ask me twice." So yeah, hopped on a plane, went over, and I just got there, met with him, and it was very cool, very intense, to be honest. It was very physically demanding to work with Marco because he wants an authenticity.
Mm.
And I remember that I had a flight. It was very, very, just as I got there, I think the day after, I was super jet lagged because we were shooting in Chile. And he was like, "We have to go train." And I was like, "Okay, train, choreography, fine." When we got there, it was like, "Yeah, we're going to train, man. We're going to really do this." And Ernesto, the director, was there. And he was, we were all creating. It was very interesting. We were all very involved. There was input from their side, a little input from my side, and it was a very cool collaboration, man. Very, very nice. Physically demanding, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I really felt like I was dealing with a class act here. With an athlete, with a martial artist that wants like the best. He wants to
Yeah.
give the best, and really inspired me to give my best as well. So I did everything I could, to meet all my marks, and it was surreal, to be honest. If I'm talking as a fan, it was completely surreal because I'm a fan of the martial art genre. I've watched all Marco Saror movies up until this point more than once. I own them on Blu-ray. I'm that type of person, and then I'm there with the guy,
Yeah.
physically actually working with him. And for me, it was surreal. With Ernesto, I've seen Ernesto like the Chilean Robert Rodriguez. Tarantino. This guy he knows what he's doing. He has a vision. He takes care of the artistic presentation. The backgrounds are very important. The wardrobe is very important to set you in that atmosphere that they wanna bring. And when I was there, I was feeling it. I was already, when they put me in the wardrobe, I know exactly where I'm at. We have this nod to Enter the Dragon. We have some stuff there, and I was, flipping. I got it right away. And when I got into that, into my wardrobe, that yellow martial art costume, I was like, yes, man, I know what I'm doing, and this is what I wanted, and I could talk to Marco, and we would relate easily, and we had a great connection. It was very cool. I remember we shot the fight for 2 days, and it was very cold down there in Chile, and we were really going at it. And I was doing it to the best of my ability. But Marco really, he pays attention to detail. Ernesto as well. Every time I did something that if we wanted to polish, he went over, he would look at it, we'll do it again, up until we got the best version of it. So we really had fun, but we also worked very hard on Fist of the Condor, especially Marco, man. After our fight, he went to fight the next day, and he recorded another fight after my fight. So it was like my action fight, and then he went over, fought the other opponent, and then he went over, and he was like over and over. And by the time we finished our fight, I was like, I need to sleep at least a couple of days. But it was
Well,
great.
he's an accomplished martial artist. I mean, he's done so many films, the Undisputed films. He's in John Wick, so
Yes.
he's got some credits under his belt.
Yeah.
And I mean, it must have been, like you said, intense to work with him because of the skill that he brings to the table. Now, what some people might not know is that you're not a classically trained martial artist, but the way
Right.
that you move is incredible on screen. You have a sense of where your body is in space, and you do some great things with it. So, how was it when you were having to square off with Marco, who really knows what he's doing, and it is probably really exacting with how he gets his martial arts portrayed on screen.
Well, in my case, I'm very much aware of, like you said, I'm very aware of where the camera is. I'm very aware of what's going to read on camera. What can I do that the camera can read? And since I have that to my advantage, I can add things that will look good because I know from that angle that if I do something, it'll read. So it wasn't really that difficult to understand our timing or our rhythm. And I have some let's just call it more balletic type of
Sure.
movements
Yep.
that I can use, martial art movements that I can use. And Marco was very much all for it. He was like, "What would you do?" And I would go, I would do this, kick, spin, and then he would add, like, "Hey, well, add this now, and then add this now," and I would just add a couple of movements to that, and we will go from there. And then we'll have Ernesto around with us telling us, I want, this thing now. I want you guys to go this way now. And we would just say, all right, well, let's do it like that. And we would pretty much would be like that. When I attack him, he knows how to go back and, add his stuff. And when he is attacking, then I just go back and just react to him. So it's a conversation pretty much, of skill. And it's very interesting because every experience I've had in action choreography, it has it's a little bit different, right? They're not all the same, but he understands rhythm to the point that we were communicating fairly easy in that sense. The hardest thing was blocking Marco's arms. That's what for the rest, it was very easy going.
He's got some pythons for arms for sure.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of the film too, Fist of the Condor, by the way, is on Hayat TV right now. So
yeah.
go and stream that. But something that's kind of special about the film, it's a nod to some of the kung fu films that a lot of us grew up on. I certainly grew up with them. Some touch of spaghetti western, but it's got a distinctly Latin flavor to it, and it pulls on some ancient martial arts that might have been lost. Can you take me through a little bit of that story?
So I don't want to spoil the
Sure.
experience too much, but Marco is the protector of the Fist of the Condor style, and there are certain characters that are looking for it. You know, the very very classic kung fu a movie in that sense. Um, and he is just pretty much minding his own business, and these people are challenging him, while there is another student. Well, I'm one of the students, but there's another one who is, his twin brother. So he needs to protect protect the martial art secret while people are challenging him. But is it him that has it? Which one has the the secret of the Fist of the Condor style? So you could pretty much get into a fight with a very cool Marco Zaror or with a very bad Marco Zaror, but you never know which one you're gonna get. So that's what's cool, because they play with that. See,
Yeah.
and obviously the character's journey, personal situations of Marco's character, and my character specifically studied in the same school that his character studied with the same master. And I am this eager young man who wants to challenge him to get the secret. And obviously, it's still the kid. Is he's too green, or does he stand a chance? It's that type of situation. So every character that opposes him also has like their own little story,
Yeah.
their own little motive. And very interesting, actually. It's a throwback. It is like you feel like you're watching that type of movie that you grew up with, that 70s vibe
Love it.
with
Love it.
with with kung fu.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I was like even feeling that I was in one. It was that type of scenario. So it was surreal, man. I remember there was a point in which, when we were at the beach, the fight at the beach that you can see in the trailer, some shots. I remember being in the camera, that were setting camera and all that, and Marco was just, with his wardrobe and the ropes around his fists and all that. And as we walked into the beach, I felt like everything went like in first person. Like,
Cool.
hell, where are you, guy? Are you in a game? And then Marco just turned around like, Jose, just follow me. We're gonna go down to that area of the beach, and we're gonna, practice choreography while the setup. But then suddenly I was like, looking at my legs, looking at my costume, looking at him, and I'm like, where am I, man? Are you in a game? You got that feeling.
Yeah.
You come from the angle that you're a fan. You really appreciate the artistry of what they're doing, and it's just a blessing to have the opportunity to be there and to be a part of something like that. And I'm blessed. I'm very happy, and I'm glad that the movie's out.
Now, but you're contributing something cool too as well. So we, the fans, are blessed by your contribution. But talk to me a little bit about that, because what went into creating that choreography? What did you guys draw from to bring this martial art to life? If you were trying to put this on screen.
Well, in this case, we were pretty much bringing or taking from our own experience, with a little of that tune up and that little pressure from Marco, like, do this,
Hmm.
and I would try something that I wouldn't necessarily feel like was a part of my skill set, but I was like, okay, then I'll do it, so it was like his input plus my experience, my movements. There were, when I got there, I remember that Francisco, who is the other actor, is playing one of the fighters, and Marco started doing the choreography because my flight got delayed, so I got there a day later or something like that.
Yep.
But they were on a schedule, so they needed to start choreography. So when I got there, I needed to adapt to Francisco's movements, and Francisco is a very very skilled guy, very skilled. I was very impressed with the athleticism that they brought to the table, and the challenge that I had when I got there. And it also made me feel at the very end happy that in a way I could push myself to do these things, and that I could in fact do them. Sometimes you come from this position in which, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? And then suddenly, with some coaching and with Marco there, like, inspiring you out of frame or whatever, telling you like, hey, you can really do this. And as a leader, that says a lot about him, and Ernesto as well. I was very happy to also, it was a conversation. Sometimes we were talking about, the angles, or we were talking about what we were doing. And I could be there very close to them and just give them my input to see if it mattered. And sometimes it did, and they used it, and that's something that I really, I was really blessed to be in a situation like that, and to have these people that are, humble enough, but also they're incredible craftsmen. So we could communicate like that effortlessly, you could say. We were talking the same language, we watched the same movies. So it was a very challenging thing to do, but at the same time, I was in a position in which I've already seen and done enough to understand clearly what they were doing, and to add to what they were doing without driving away from the rhythm, driving away from what they wanted. So that's something that over the years I've gotten, that is that sensibility of understanding. Oh, I know what they're trying to do. So if I'm collaborating with them, I will add things that are within the world that they're building, or the scene that they're building. And that's why I think my input has gotten better, because I know how to match it like a little puzzle, like, oh, I know what I can tell them that will add to what they want to do, instead of shying away, because probably I'm like, oh, if I tell them this, it'll probably, it'll take them away from what they want to do. No, I knew what they wanted to do from day one. I was very much aware of it, and I still am. I got everything, and it was exactly what you will see on screen. A very classic kung fu throwback with very very cool Latino influences that is never done before. That I think that it has never been done before. I've seen, if there is any, by all means, just let me know so that I can keep growing, keep learning. But from what I can understand, it's the first, and it's incredible.
It's going to be
incredible to be a part of it.
Awesome addition to the entire genre. Speaking of which, I know there was a screening in New York recently of the film. Were you there at the screening?
I was not there, but it's because of a very good reason. So I'm shooting a movie. This is the first time that I'm talking about this. I think, like, in general, I'm right now in the middle of a shoot down in Baja California.
Cool.
The only thing that I can say,
it's exclusive, guys. It's exclusive right here.
It is an exclusive, actually. So the only thing that I can say is that I'm playing a villain.
Nice.
And that I'm playing opposite Cynthia Roth.
Wow, awesome.
That's the only thing that I can say for now.
Very cool.
But I'm very excited for this. I wasn't in the screening of the Condor. I saw everything.
Cool.
Hector Soria, my buddy, my brother, was there. Another Instagram friend, Moses, was there, and they took some pictures, and they were like super excited. I was very blessed to to get their congratulations, and I feel like I have that, like that sense of belonging, in
Cool.
the world of martial art movies, which I totally love, the world of action movies. And they sent me, yeah, I mean, Marco was there,
Yeah.
took a lot of pictures. They did the ceremony with the fists, and it was incredible. I was very, very, very happy. Actually, right now, Marco and I, we live very close to each other as of now. So
Cool.
we are, yeah, we're talking a lot. We're training. I'm training with him, which it's very, very hard to catch up. But it's been a very, very cool and rewarding experience also, to keep sharing moments with him and to talk martial art movies and to see where we are. And very inspiring. He's always like, hey, man, you have talent. Don't give up, this and that.
That's
So
cool.
I'm blessed, man, for
It
that.
must be
Really, really.
amazing, having been a fan of his for so long, to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
stand shoulder to shoulder with him now and trade
Yeah.
blows like you've been doing it forever.
Yeah, it is. It is very, very cool, to be honest. It's one of those things that you look back at everything that you've done, and sometimes you would think like, where is this going to take me? Is this going to take me anywhere? You're pretty much doing your best. I'm very much obsessed with movies. I could tell you
Yeah.
that much. I sit down. I try to learn everything that I can, whether it is script writing to editing to acting. And I'm always, I could sit for days just to try to figure something out. And I think that passion or that drive, other people can see it, especially people that are in the business,
Yep.
and they're like, I want to work with someone like that actually cares about what we're doing. And I think that probably is the little ingredient, that sincerity of the fact that I love this, I
Yeah.
really love
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, that's apparent to fans who follow this genre closely. If the people that are making the films, if the filmmakers know what they're doing and treat it with the respect and love that it deserves, that translates on screen. And we know when you're faking it, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's why it's like someone told me like, hey, Jose, you're like a method actor. They told me, and I was like, no, by all means, no. But it was because obviously you take everything seriously, and you train as much as you can, even though not traditionally, right?
Right.
You learn as much as you can about lenses, about where the camera's at, about film speed, about all of these elements that come together to bring you an experience. And I'm just thrilled to continue learning. I love the learning process. I love the challenge of how can I do this now? How can I take this to another level now? How can I do that? Even can I?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I do this? And I think that question is like, there's only one way to find out kind of question that just keeps me going, keeps me
Yeah.
keeps me going. So,
Take off your filmmaker hat for a second and go back to just being a fan. When you were filming with Marco, were there moments where you just got starstruck for a second and just kind of took yourself out of it and thought, I'm here on set with one of my idols and we're making a movie together?
all the time, all the time. It's happening to me right now again.
Yeah,
And I try to just I focus on the work. I take
sure.
it super seriously, especially because I'm working with people that I really admire, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be the one that is gonna mess up this thing, not no, not from me, I'm really gonna bring it as the best that I can, and I'm gonna, you know, uh, be there, be there in the experience. But yeah, I mean, all the time. I still do. I'm whenever I'm sharing moments with them, or sharing moments with Marco, it is like, damn it, man. And it's, a lot of people say never meet your heroes. You
Sure.
also
Yeah.
you need to understand also, you need to be present in the fact that we're all human beings. We are a real people. We're as real as one another. But definitely, there are people that give that extra mile to try and live the talk, you
Yeah.
know. And Marco is one of those guys. So I was blessed to meet him because the way he projects himself, he is pretty much like that. Marco is who you see. He is a very intense athletic guy, very inspirational, very down to earth, very humble guy. And it's been a blessing.
Cool.
I I have I could go on and on about this because it's very cool to have him as a friend, very cool to collaborate with him.
Yeah.
And um, and I would have never thought, that at some point I was gonna share screen with people that I've seen since I just, when I was still not in the business.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. Have you seen the full film?
Oh yeah,
So
oh yeah.
give me your reaction. Take yourself out of it as an actor, as a filmmaker, as a fan. You sit back and you let that film wash over you. What was your reaction? What's your takeaway?
I was, it's just that feeling of watching, in my case, like watching Fearless Hyena, Snake and Eagle Shadow, all these movies that I love, and suddenly the I mean, I can't take away myself from the experience. It's too hard. But when the image comes in, and then suddenly I'm there dressed, like
Yeah.
with Marco, with it just feels like, oh my God, I'm in a kung fu movie now, and it just feels it feels real, and it feels legit. Um, so it's just beyond my, it's beyond words, man.
Yeah.
When I was there, I was shocked. I'm still shocked. Obviously, I understand why I was there. I understand my ability. I've grown to be more confident about my abilities. Um, and especially now on set, I understand why I'm there. And it's because of pretty much knowledge.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. I know what I'm doing, and if I take a chance to do something different, something creative, then I know consciously that I'm taking that chance. And if it works, it works. If not, we'll talk with the director and we'll have another approach. And that collaboration always leads to a good product. When you're aware of what you're doing, and you really pay attention to what you're doing, and you've done it for so long, it kind of becomes now second nature. The camera's there, I know where I'm looking. The camera's there, I know, oh, it's gonna pan, I know where to. I know what's gonna happen. Sometimes it pans to me, I need to react on cue. Those little things are the things that now I feel more confident doing. So I believe I'm helping production to be to waste way less time,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And about the movie, man, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a rewatch, definitely. It's one of those movies that I want in physical media, and I want the poster, and I want the whole thing. I want the shirt, and I wasn't in the screening. I have to tell Marco, hey,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
visit the Condor shirt, and I want a poster, and I want it signed. And then we're gonna take it out. He's gonna give it to me, sign, and then I'm gonna say, "Hey, Jose, you want to sign it?" Of course, man. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'll sign it. I'll give it to myself, then I'll grab it this way, then I'll sign it and give it back.
As you should, as you should. So just speaking of that too, beyond awareness and knowledge, you also have a great respect for the craft and the genre, right? And that's evident. So that comes through when you work. Have you heard any reaction from the public from the screening? What was the general feeling from that screening? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, man. I mean, Hector was flipping. Moses. I mean, that guy. Thank you a lot, man. He sent me a story and he wrote like, how does it feel to be immortalized, Jose? And I was like, wow, man, those are things that you sometimes you think, but you never think that someone else is thinking that. And when someone else is looking at it like that, you're like, wow, okay, so I must have done something here that other people are also appreciating. I've grown also to understand that, I'm in my own journey and I have to do the
Hmm.
things that I think that I should do in order for myself to feel fulfilled. And definitely, a movie with Marco was something that I've always wanted to do. But when it's a special feeling, obviously, when someone else tells you, like, yeah, you did your thing, this is great. And I'm also blessed to have that reaction. So I to be honest, I try to separate myself from the anticipation of what the audience is gonna react,
Hmm.
how they're gonna react. Obviously, you do your best, and you really hope that people appreciate it. Because if I didn't do my best, then I would be like, it would mean that I wouldn't care. But I
Sure.
try to do my
Yeah.
best there, so that then the outcome would be like, hey, it's out of my hands, but we did the best that we could, so hopefully people will like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've had, very good reactions as of now, and and people are very excited for the Condor. Obviously, now that also Marco had this big opportunity to work in John Wick, and
Yeah.
very well deserving. His performance was incredible. The fights in John Wick were incredible. And I'm still yet to sit down. Well, we talked a little bit about it, but now that I saw it, I want to sit down with him again. Go through the scenes of John Wick, and
Mm.
and also his experience in the screening of the Condor, because he was there. And
Yeah.
we'll sit down very soon and we'll talk about all of this, and it'll be cool.
Yeah. 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 That's I want to get into that. But when you finally saw yourself in the finished product, uh, you're always your own worst critic. Did you look at yourself and go,
Oh,
"Man, I should have done that differently, or I should have maybe I'll
I
change that," or
Yeah, I always do to a certain extent. I always do. But then, there are many things that come in game and play when that thought comes to my mind. One of them being the fact that sometimes I feel more confident, me myself, I feel more confident when I, well, let's just say that I think every action actor feels like that. Like if you're leading the pack, you feel more confident, right? Because you know that you're doing something that is not out of your comfort zone. The different thing in this scenario is that some stuff I was doing were out of my comfort zone, where they
mm,
were, instructed me by Marco or instructed me by Ernesto. They wanted me, hey, do this, do that, and I'm like, all right, I'll do the best that I can. And but then again, I think that, to be honest, it looks very good. If
awesome.
if you if you if you see my if I see myself in detail, I could always say things
Sure.
about it.
Sure.
But then if I sit back and I just see it, I'm like, yes, man, this is professionally made. This
That's
this
awesome.
this people also protected me. They wanted me to look good, and Marco wanted me to look good. There's never in a million years I could land a punch into Marco's face, but in the movie, he's like, no, 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 punch me in the face, punch me in the face, and I'm like, dude, this is fantasy. Yeah, 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 that's what I mean.
That's great.
And I was like, okay, boom. And it was cool, to have him also um, have some vulnerability in the character,
Mm,
and give me those moments so that I could, bang, hit him. And
yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to hit you, man, but cool. You can beat my ass if that's what you want. No, no, no. I want you to hit me.
Sure.
I want
Sure.
to be losing now. And I'm like, all right, all right. So
Nice.
that was something very cool. Obviously, to have that respect, to have them in a position in which they want you to look good, they want you to shine,
Mm,
and that's something that I really appreciated from the opportunity and the experience. Regardless of me being out of my comfort zone in some moments, they would never let me look bad. They
Yeah.
were there to protect the product, to protect the overall presentation. So yeah, man, it was Ernesto has a great vision. He
Cool.
knows the angles and the pacing. He knows when it's gonna stop, and then we're gonna go to some story, and when we're gonna come back, and we're gonna have that strong feel back into the fight, and that pacing works very cool. There's a story driven
Yeah.
fights all
Um,
throughout.
yeah. Do you again as a fan, having seen the entire film now, do you have a favorite moment from the film that doesn't give out any spoilers or anything like that? Do you have a moment where you think the audience is going to be like, that's the moment, man. That's awesome.
Well, every time Marco does his famous corkscrew, I get very excited. I remember that moment. I mean, it's so hard because I'm
Sure,
biased,
sure, sure.
right? But that first the first fight when he just it's on the trailer. It's on. I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to
Look
spoil.
at the excitement. It's
But
great. It's great to see that excitement on your face, though.
all right, all right. So he when he does that the corkscrew and he lands it on my face and I fall. I, I was there, that's the thing. I was there and I was like, okay, and now I'm gonna corkscrew and I'm gonna kick you in the head. And I was like, oh my God, this is the moment, that he's gonna do it. He's gonna hit me with the corkscrew. This is what I've been waiting for.
Awesome.
And
That's
I
awesome.
remember I remember that I was so tired by that shot when we were doing that shot. But he was tired as well. We were both very tired. But I remember he was spinning, and I did the fall, boom, and I was like, okay, this is good. I think we got it. And he was like, yes, we got to do it again. And I was like in my battery was running very low at the time. So I remember the last fall I did. I spin around. I hit the ground good, but I was like I didn't have any energy to even jump anymore. It was like trying to like and I went over and fell. But it was because in a different scenario we'd have more time. We're doing this back to back. One day, then at the next day went back into the fight. So it was very intense, and we did this just after the previs. It was like 2 days of previs,
Mm.
one day of we went training that day. I remember, like, I was like, okay, today we sleep, and now Marco is like, okay, we're gonna go train, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't question that. Okay, we're going to train. All right, so I told this to Marco. I like doing funny stories. I like saying the things that really happened. So I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
remember that one day we were training, and we were doing trampoline training. We were doing acro training, and me and Marco. But I was spent by this point, and I was super tired, and we were gonna shoot not the day after, the day after that. So I just had like one day of resting, like uh, and then we went back to it. So I remember we went 2 days previous, and then we went training. And I remember that we were doing acrobatics. I was like, I was almost like thin as a paper. I was like pale, but I was there, holding it because I didn't want it, at the time. I wanted to, do everything. This the moment. Remember, Marco said, "Okay, we're done. So let's pick this big, huge crash mat that weighted like a ton between him and me, and we had to store it. And we went in, and I'm there like trying my best to store this thing after 2 3 days of previs and fighting and training. By the way, we were doing previs in a CrossFit uh, uh, place
Yeah.
that was very hot. We were like really like sauna with martial arts. It was that heavy. So I put this thing, and we store it. And as we store it with all my might, I put it in with him. And then I'm like, holding the wall like this, and he goes, "Good job." I give him my hand. Yeah, man, great. He turns around. I turn around. I puke to the other side of the, and I was like, ugh. And then I'm like putting all my effort so that he doesn't see me, and then I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. All right, we got it. Let's go. And I went on and I tried to macho the thing out of myself. But then, when I met him again recently, we're in a different situation now. So I was talking to him and I did a joke for him, and he was laughing. He was like, "Oh my God, man." Because at the time it was like, no, man. I mean, what if he sees me puking now? He'll probably think that I'm gonna mess up the scene tomorrow and the day after.
Never let them see you sweat. That's awesome. We do have some people in the audience, so guys, I'm going to
Oh,
invite you
cool.
if you have any questions for Jose, post them or raise your hand, and we'll get those questions to him. But speaking of audiences, the movie obviously has a built-in fan base. Anybody who loves kung fu and martial arts action films is going to be drawn to the film. Um,
Mhm.
what beyond that audience do you think would appreciate this film?
I think starting with the Latino audience, I think
Mm,
they'll be very much inspired by the fact that you can see Latino actors doing a action movie, martial art movie that really have the goods, and that the filmmakers and the people that were there know their stuff to the point that you'll be excited to see it, excited and inspired. I think that well, I try to bring the new generation of kids to see this type of things. I think it's a good opportunity for them to be exposed to the genre, and
yeah,
then from there they can start digging into finding the old stuff, because you always need like that new product to go back into looking what got, how did they get there, and what was before. I remember when I saw the not back in '97 when I saw Rumble in the Bronx. I
hmm
was like, oh wait, okay, so I mean, this guy's amazing. What's before this? And I just kept digging and digging up to the point that you feel like you're doing like this treasure hunt kind of. It becomes like a cool journey into finding new movies, finding new directors, who did this, who did that, and then suddenly you're immersed in the world of the martial arts. I think filmmakers will love the movie. People that love filmmaking in general, not necessarily martial art movies. I think people that like films
hmm
will look at it as a very classic, independent um, presentation. Like they will see something that has the texture of a cool independent movie. Props to Ernesto, that he's an incredible filmmaker, and the filmmaker that helped him bring this to life in the camera editing. And anyone who is interested in learning filmmaking, it's a good place to just look. There's a lot of practical effects, a lot of things that are the real thing. We're doing it right there for real. Uh, Very minimum to
yeah,
non visual effects in terms of computer. We're just trying to
yeah, yeah.
do it with our ability, and that's something that you could learn from easily, if you look at it, um, understanding camera angles and sort. I'm talking more of a filmmaker right now. As an
Sure,
audience,
sure.
um, I think the people that like anime, that like I think you'll get something from it as well. The characters are very, they look also like anime characters. Like Margot look like this anime character. They try to make me look like one as well. All the characters, they have like this type of flavor, like they're their own thing. Them. It's like watching Dragon Ball. You look at
Yeah,
one guy, you look at the other guy, that they're different. Why?
yep.
Now you're gonna know why. So that sense of building character for me is very important, and especially in fight movies, because sometimes you could have these two characters that are fighting, but they are very similar, and you can't make a difference between one or the other. I think the best action martial art movies are the ones that you can see that every character is different. You can see
Yeah.
Game of Death. You see Bruce Lee dressed in a certain way. The other characters, one redneck, the nunchucks are red. The other guy, the nunchucks are yellow. You can see that difference. You know, one has a bandana, dressed in black with a martial arts suit. The other one has this yellow tracksuit. It's very different. You know, every character is different. So this movie definitely has that, and Ernesto was very aware. I think one of the coolest experiences was when we were doing the wardrobe for my character, because we picked a couple, and then we picked that one. He was like, "Oh yes, I like this one," and he was like, "Do you like it?" And I was like, "Of course I like it. It looks like Enter the Dragon, man. This is incredible. I look like like it's out of that same world, or it is
Yeah.
built like in the same world." So I think obviously people that love Bruce Lee, martial arts movies in general, I think you're gonna really like this movie. And yeah, pretty much, man. Action fans all over will love the movie, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's a good time for action films in general, especially over the last few years. And again, Marco is in John Wick 4 now, which has pretty much defined the template for for a lot of action films. But even in the Best Picture that won this year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, a huge
Yeah,
martial arts component in that. So this I think is will be a nice addition again to that genre, to the tapestry of martial arts action films, right?
yeah, bringing it back to mainstream, and to having it exposed to a larger audience. Because at the very end, I believe that whatever is mainstream is because of the market, the marketability at the timing. Sometimes, mainstream media will decide. And with a movie like John Wick being on the mainstream media, definitely, helps a lot for other martial art movies to be expressed and seen, whether at a different time they could go under the radar and go directly to the niche audience. Obviously, we love the niche audience. That's why we keep doing this type of movies, so that the niche audience can have something. And I consider myself part of the niche audience. So,
Mm,
I want to see what we did as a fan as well.
yeah.
I want to see the movie, because right now it comes to the point in which there are other performers like Jackie Chan is
Yep.
still doing movies, is doing Right On, but he's also like there's most performers that were in that golden era are also slowing down a little bit, and you start like getting scared, even because you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna watch after this? I want to see what Jackie Chan is gonna do next. And if you don't have that anticipation, you pretty much well, I could feel a little lost in the world. It's like, oh
Sure.
my God, what's the meaning now? I want to see another movie that excites me.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you have to do it now. Is that
Right.
situation
Right.
where
Yeah.
you're like, you have to try it yourself, and you have to do what you want to see, so that you can have you know something to look forward to. And it's great, because before I was like, as excited as I am right now into creating and doing the movies, I would get that much excited, and I still do, for new movies, martial arts or action movies that are coming out. I'm always expecting them. So it's like, now it came to a point in which I'm also excited of what am I going to do next as a challenge,
Mm,
but what are other filmmakers that I admire are going to do next, that I can see, that I can go watch. So it becomes like a sharing experience to in some way, and you're there trying to contribute and doing it because you love it.
yeah.
I love it.
Hmm.
I'm excited, and I think about it almost all the time. So yes, definitely, with movies like John Wick and Everything Everywhere All at Once, for sure. All both of those movies, and other action movies. I believe even in Indiana Jones or Mission
Hmm. Hmm.
Impossible, it's adding to that roster in a way, to
Yeah.
expecting people, expecting the genre to grow or to continue, which is when mainstream media brings it to the awareness of the audience, it's a good moment for independent filmmakers to do their own thing as well, because then people are paying attention. Why
Mhm.
do I say that? Is because, niche audience and fans are always gonna look for movies like that. But
Yeah.
the mass audience, the mainstream audience, they need an event feeling. It is like, oh, I can't. This is something that I need to see. And sometimes, again, marketing very important, and the publicity is very important.
Mm.
So when the mainstream media is there hyping up the action, uh, we all get happy, because that's when yes, at last, we're back into the times, and we can express it now, and we can feel that little void.
Well, as part of the next generation of filmmakers, of action stars, martial arts action stars, what do you have in the pipeline other than the film that you're working on right now, which you can't talk about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm working on some stuff. I'm always like working on something. A lot of conversations, very interesting conversations actually, with other people that I want to work with, and very excited for that as well. I can't say much about it yet. A lot of the things are in the works, but I'm always trying to move forward with something, even if it's something totally independent and personal. I always have that card in my hand just in case, and I'm working on my own stuff as well as a director, filmmaker, actor. And aside from that, I'm trying to also, continue this incredible collaborations that I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love being on set with these people that I've seen throughout all my life, and that I admire deeply. And I want it to keep going. I would like to also continue doing my own movies whenever I can, and whenever the conversations are solid and they concretize. But aside from that, I get excited like when they said, "Hey, you want to play a villain, Cynthia Rothrock?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sign me in. Sign me in. I don't care how many times I need to live or die or whatever you want to do. Just let's do it." And I get excited when that happens. So very happy of the circumstances and the opportunity. Very blessed. I'm happy. I want to continue doing it, and yeah, man, just trying to do my best. Trying to do my best and learning more and more so that I can bring something more to the table later on,
Yeah.
to the best of my ability, and hopefully, my experience and the things that I'm doing also are rewarding for the audience, for people that are actually, sitting down at their house and looking at what we're doing. I really hope that you're taking something away from what I'm doing in my career, and from what other action filmmakers are doing in their careers. I know there are a lot of people out there that are working very hard, and we do it because we love it. Um, but at the same time, we want people to get that same feeling. It's
Yeah.
something very, very intense that you feel when you're doing this type of practice, and you want other people to experience the same, or at least a little bit of it. To say like, oh my God, that's exciting. I can feel what they were feeling. I can understand the passion behind what they're doing, and hopefully it translates.
It does. It does. And, we watch it because we love what you're doing. I'm a fan of your work. Thank you again for hopping on the show. It's
Oh
always
yeah.
great to catch up with you. And all I can do is wish that you continue to define the next generation of action and martial arts action films. Hopefully you're doing more stuff, collaborating with more of your idols, and really being part of that next generation of filmmakers and action stars for us fans who are looking to you guys to keep the action rolling for us.
We actually appreciate, the forum that you guys create for us filmmakers to also express ourselves and promote our work. I love the Kung Fu Driving podcast. It's incredible. And I thank you also, for your love of this type of action movies and for your platform, because it really gives us a sense of belonging whenever we get into this type of forum and we talk about what we did. It's very, very rewarding as well. So thank
Uh,
you, man. Thank
always,
you.
always, always. Tell the audience where they can follow you, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Give them all the socials.
All right, Instagram, the silent flute underscore underscore. You can also follow the Swashbuckler Studio, which is, my little brand of action, which is still growing, it's still finding its way, but it's there. And yeah, Facebook, Jose Manuel. You can find me by Jose Manuel. And my website, swashbucklerstudio.com. I'm yet to connect the domain back to it, but it's still there. Everything is there. I'm updating things there, because that's the place in which I am pretty much, putting everything that I'm doing, and just, putting it for future history, for me to go back and finding also my full brand. It's easier when you have a website and you create it from scratch, and you start, building from that. It's like you're putting things on yourself, like different clothing, different colors. Oh, this
Yeah.
is me, or maybe not. This is me, or it could be. So
Awesome.
yeah, pretty much the silent flute underscore underscore for sure. You can find me there on Instagram. You can follow. I post regularly on my stories, and whenever I have something important to say, I do, or place a post or whatever. Keep for
Awesome.
updates for the new movie that I'm shooting.
Hmm.
Whenever I'm clear to do or to say anything about that,
We'll
I
talk again,
will.
hopefully.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure, man. We'll talk
No,
again.
that's cool. Definitely give him a follow. Jose Manuel, award-winning actor, martial arts actor, action star, and give him a follow on Instagram. Haya TV is showing the Fist of the Condor now, so get it on there. I don't know when the physical media will be distributing, so I'll keep you up
I
to
think
date when that
I
happens. But
but I think by the end of this month or the
okay,
middle of the next.
cool.
But I'm getting a Blu-ray for sure.
Excellent, excellent. And again, Jose, thank you so much for what you do for
Hey,
the genre. Continue to do some amazing stuff. We'll be following you here at the Kung Fu Driving Podcast. And when you can talk about what film you're making now with Cynthia Rothrock, please come back and talk to us about that. Otherwise, best of luck with the Fist of the Condor. Best of luck with your career. We'll be following, of course. And stay safe out there and continue to make some amazing things.
thank you, Jeff. Really, really, thank you a lot, brother.
Have a great time. Thank you, everybody, for